Nowadays you have people that can lead a meeting, but they don't know how to lead in ministry.
Yeah, wow.
So basically, like, you have people that can lead a meeting, but they don't know how to minister to a soul, how to pray for somebody, how to, pray for healing or deliverance. And may not be said of us. Like, I don't want that to be our church.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Like Father, Like Son podcast. My name is Mike Tirpak. I'm your host. I'm here together with the leaders of Connect Church. We have Pastor Deryck, Pastor Devon. How y'all feeling?
It's good to be here.
PD, look fresh.
I don't feel fresh,
nothing?
but I look fresh.
Are you just... You know what, guys? Just shut his podcast.
I just look street casual. I'm not gonna lie.
I just came off the pulpit.
Pops just walked off stage. He's repping Quazo suits, which, by the way, this episode is sponsored by Chris Quazo.
Dude, Quazo should be putting on. He should.
Chris,
this is a plug for you. We love you. You're the best. And he's a part of Connect now.
That's right.
This is church. This is his home.
We're repping for him, and now maybe he can rep for us.
Anytime I go to Lifetime, I always see his slides going on. If you guys don't know, Quazo is just the best suit quality. It's unbelievable. You can work out in it. I mean,
Stretch
literally.
material.
Dad just came back from doing some push-ups right now. That's why he looks like that. But
that's why he's absolutely hacked.
This one's a little tight.
So, Pops, how do you feel about everyone talking about steroids in the comments and just...
Yeah, you had one clip that went viral.
You can cut that.
You had one clip that went super viral. I'm just glad the Frye boys are sharing the hate
talking
now.
about my Instagram. There was
Killing
just one short sleeve shirt. I wasn't even... it wasn't...
I don't even think it was that tight. It definitely
really
was your
wasn't.
tightest.
I've had tighter shirts than that,
you've had tighter.
Come on now.
Yeah, you're freaking chest
when I
pops.
wear those mediums, I'm repping the
You're
biceps.
not really a medium guy, though.
No, I actually like kind of art oversized. Like, I'm kind of that guy.
Yeah, because you're Gen Z.
I'm definitely not Gen Z.
Somebody hated on me, by the way, for doing... Have you heard of a millennial zoom? Apparently, when you act when you're talking on Instagram and then you do a little swipe up and it zooms in. One of the CY kids were like, dude, do not stop doing that. I'm like, what are you talking about, bro?
I don't even get it.
I don't either. What does
it's
it
like
mean?
when you're talking and then you zoom in so it comes in closer to your face, so it kind of like gives some engagement. She's like, just don't do that.
Wow.
I'm like, okay. Well, I don't have 2 million.
It's because Gen Z doesn't really want people to know them up close and personal.
Yes.
Ooh.
It's an intimacy issue.
Ooh. Anyways, welcome to great podcast. One of the fastest growing podcasts in the world.
Faith in Jesus.
Thanks to Social Church and everything that we're doing.
Let's go.
Listen,
wait, hold up. You're preaching as of this recording. You're
preaching.
Listen, I don't want to.
Let's talk.
You're
about
preaching
the
next
interview.
week.
Just changed.
As of this recording, the message will be released at this point. You're preaching next week.
How do you feel, Michael?
I need therapy in advance.
How do you feel?
I'm not going to say what I said last night.
Why are we doing this right now? You should be home studying.
I should be home studying. Listen, I'm actually...
No, the crazy part was he sent his message notes in 3 weeks in advance.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, I was...
Honestly, one of the reasons why he's chosen, I mean, you've been talking about Mike in his communication, even as a host, what most people call MC, you prepare for that, hardcore.
Yeah, I used to brag about Mike because, in fact, it's kind of like a inside leadership pro tip thing. Is like, don't take any communication opportunity lightly. Take it very seriously. I have a principle: the preparation precedes the manifestation. So you could be gifted, talented, great on your feet on the fly. No way. You got to come prepared. And that was one of the things I noticed about Michael a long time ago.
Facts.
In fact, sitting right over there, and I'm like looking like this, and he's scrolling through his MC notes. I was
just
like,
while he's MCing.
This is my boy. He's got all his notes for the MC transitions.
It was the Relate conference.
Yep.
I might have been more nervous for that actually because that was probably the first real
You were ready though. I mean, you put the work in, but emotionally you weren't ready. You were still a pup, but you were ready in every other way.
Yeah.
But I will say that is a conversation we have all the time, and Pops always says about new hosts and stuff. Yeah. He's always like, are they prepared? And he always references you, and that's, I have a significant reason why you're preaching this upcoming Sunday.
Yeah.
First Sunday sermon you've done.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby.
Really, I would say the first real opportunity I've had with significant influence. Like every time I think about it, I was telling Devon last night, I'm like, it's like I try not even to think about it because it's a heavy weight to it. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of influence of our church. Multiple campuses.
It's on YouTube for the rest of your life.
Let's not.
I'm sorry.
We don't have.
I didn't mean to bring that up.
Talk about that. My wife and I have been praying. I mean, we're meeting with you guys tomorrow.
You got a lot going on right now.
Facts. You got a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Not only that, you're closing out one of the most significant series we've ever done.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're closing out the entire series.
Ezekiel 37, Valley Dry Bones.
Come on.
I was listening to, I think it was your message, Pastor Devon, and I was sitting in the chair, and without even knowing that I was going to preach, I felt the Lord spoke to me, this is revival. And he was saying that, like, we were in a series about, even the thing that God told you about, like, we need to pray more as a church, meet on Saturdays, get in the building, start praying more. And God was sharing with me, he was like, you guys are not praying for revival anymore. You guys are in it. And you're not, like, this isn't like a thing that's coming. And even the past couple of weeks, he was just like, I want the church to know that we're no longer praying for it. We're living in it. And it's time for us to go.
Well, remember, in the series, the premise is it's not an if-then revival.
Yeah.
2 Chronicles 7:14. It's an I will revival, Acts 2:17. So if my people call on my name, that whole thing, we've been preaching that for years. We're in the last of the last days, and it says, in the last days, I will pour out my spirit. So we're in that.
Yeah.
We just got to get in position for it.
Yeah.
So,
I can't wait. I can't wait to
awesome.
watch it. You're going to kill it.
Yeah, you're going to kill it.
You're
buddy.
ready for it.
We got a suit.
You got a suit?
I'll tell you what, I must confess. I talk with your suit guy.
Yeah.
And I say, Lord, I don't know if I'm in the same ballpark as you, brother. I literally said,
You did a little quote?
I said, you just say that one more time. Just tell me the number. Because I don't know if I actually heard that right. I was
Listen.
I'm like, just don't tell Pastor Deryck that I said this.
Well worth it.
I agree. There's a season where
pricey.
you shouldn't be rolling like that.
Well, no,
I'm in a new
right.
season.
So I have one. It was a gift. Thank God. Praise God for
definitely.
gifts. I feel like the Lord's telling me
You should give
you're supposed to give another gift.
Bro, it's the cost of your gutters on your house. I'm like, Lord have mercy, dude. How do I
got a roof for that. No, so I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I'm looking to get a couple more button ups.
I remember
just
this.
want one. He goes, I only do a bundle of 3. I go, all right, I'll take it 3 more. And he's like, yeah, it's this price. I'm like, I'll get back to you. I'll get back.
Bro, that's
Hold
exactly
on,
what I said.
I got to check my credit line.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what I said.
See how my bank account works. And
Honey,
how
do we still have that home equity line?
Literally. It was like, I told Lotta what it was. And I go, babe, I can't make sense of this right now.
Worth it.
Yeah.
But we balling on a budget right now, baby.
Yeah. Once you get one, it's a hook. I'm not going to lie. It's a hook.
Well, he custom fits
so-
it.
You got like
Too many.
10 plus?
Oh, yes. Yeah. 14, 15.
He probably gives you a deal though, right?
Listen, we're not going to go online and say all that stuff. I'm not giving my trade secrets. No.
I just wanted to know what the deal was because hypothetically, I'm going to tell him. I'm going to say, listen, I talked with Pastor Deryck. I know you got a lot going on your plate, but I need
Chris,
to
you watching this? You watching this? We will rock the suits for every single episode.
Stuff, like some stuff that moves and flows with you a little bit.
He's got all that. He's got all that stuff.
But listen,
anyway, how is he getting all this airtime? Chris, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of custom fitted, we have in our church, I believe, 2 of the greatest people leaders and developers in the country. And I believe that as a church, I think we're walking into this season now in terms of the way we're growing and leading. And even we were talking about like, this is revival. And even the series that we're in right now, Heaven Come, it all revolves around people. And I remember being at camp and just being with the CY kids and just seeing like all of these young leaders. And
Dude, camp was wild. You got to give context for it.
Wild. So yeah, we had 100 and probably about 150 students and leaders, just our church. And then we partnered with another church. They probably bought just about the same, 300 young people in a room. I remember before I came to New England.
On the boonies in New York.
Yeah, just 3 hours away. It took us 4 hours to get there. And kids were on fire for the Lord, just super excited.
It was so special.
Tons of salvations.
It's awesome.
And I remember being at a church before coming to Connect in North Carolina and talking to a few of the leaders there. And they're like, are you sure you want to go back home? Because that's where churches go to die. And I didn't know because honestly, I never led in the church. I was kind of new to the whole leadership thing. And being at camp, I was like, it is so far from the Church of New England being dead.
Come on.
Yeah.
And even before I moved home, I wrote down a note that there was going to be a revival coming in New England. And I was sharing with a lot of the noters in 2017. I had written it down. And it's funny that now that you're preaching that series and all about revival and stuff like that, it's like I feel like we're living in it. But now that we're living in revival, there's this great need for great leaders. And being with you two, I wanted to open up a conversation, primarily leadership, and we can go different directions and kind of talk through some stuff. But even with the 508, you can open up about some of the, we exist to develop kings and queens, and there's this essence of our church that we develop leaders. So wanted to start the conversation. Why is that so important in the church, in ministry, in leadership, and in organization?
I mean, I don't think you can build, we have a phrase, we don't buy leaders, we build them, but I don't think you can build a healthy church unless you have an emphasis on leadership and empowerment and, discovering and developing people. So it's in our DNA. My dad was a great leader in unique ways. He specialized in certain things. And I don't know, I've always been passionate about leadership. And when I was a young man, I used to buy these John Maxwell cassettes. Enjoy was the name of his company, and you get a cassette in the mail every month, leadership cassette, and can't come with the notes. We call them show notes now. It was just like cassette notes or whatever. And I just got bit early with that, and I just have seen the effects of the absence of leadership too in ministry. Yeah. I see so many people just riding talent, riding charisma, riding passion, but they just don't have a clue. So it's in the DNA of our church, and it's been something that I think is aggregate for us. I mean, you look around, you're like, there's leaders. I think there's leaders everywhere. I feel a weight about it, to be honest with you. I look around and I'm like, I feel almost like responsible. It's almost like when you have, I feel this sometimes with singles in our church as a parental figure, father, spiritual father. I'm like, I feel the weight sometimes of the singles. Like I want to help them in this vulnerable season, and to find someone, and to create those opportunities. Environments for that. And I feel similarly with leaders. There's just a certain weight, like there's assignment on them, there's anointing, there's authority on them. And I feel like I have to pay attention very, very closely to that. But it wasn't always that way. And it's taken time. And I think it's the soil of the church. It's, I've said for years, trees grow slow. To have a really strong leadership culture, it did not happen overnight. It wasn't a program. It wasn't an external, voice. This was just something that we had to create a culture of leadership in our church, and now we have it. And there's a lot of systems that are being employed. Dev is the systems guy. He's taken soil and now he's getting super strategic with how we maximize that soil. But the soil has been a journey.
I remember when I first came in the church. When I first came to Connect, I was not ready for Connect because I was coming from a leadership environment, but it was so big and it didn't go deep. Yeah. So it was like, I thought I could kind of skate by. Dev thought he was inheriting this leader, and I was so far from. I was so far from the leader. But honestly, being in close relationship with this church, it was like automatically, it was like iron sharpens iron. But it was very, very uncomfortable, and you can see it sometimes with people in our church. It kind of gets. There's so much sharpening when you get close in community that it starts to get like a little.
There's always been a little bit of it's. I don't know, you can speak to whether it's softened at all, but there's always been a little bit of like, if you're going to come here, you're going to grow. And if you're not going to grow, you're going to go. It's like, it's almost like it just happens. Like you just have to accept that we're not going to leave you the way you are. We'll love you the way you are, but we're not going to leave you there. Yeah. And so that's where this like phrase, it's a PDism, but to grow here, you have to go there. Yeah. But we do, it's an eventuality. If there's, my father used to have this phrase. He's like, we need to deal with him, or we need to deal with that, or we need to deal with her. And it was like kind of negative in how he said it. And there's a part of that I don't like. It was kind of like, it was more corrective without compassion. But the corrective side of it was good. Like, we don't just ignore what we see, which is what happens in a lot of ministries, in a lot of churches, and a lot of, Christian constructs. Is we see this stuff and I'm like, what? The American Idol syndrome. Nobody told you can't sing?
Yeah, yeah.
You got all the way to the platform. You got a pastor label. You got a leader label. And nobody told you about that character problem. Nobody can talk to you in a loving way about that or this. And so I don't know. That's always been in us.
That's right.
It's definitely in the Frye household.
Yeah.
And so it just permeates the church.
We had a strategy meeting for CLA this one time. I can't remember if this existed beforehand, but I use this now for my business, actually. But CLA, we use it for our leadership semester. So CLA is our leadership academy that we've had for 6-7 years now.
6 years,
yeah,
I think.
6 years.
5 or 6 years now. Yep.
I definitely think establishing a leadership pipeline for your community, your church, your business, even in some senses, your family, your household, is so beneficial. So we started doing that, and we have a 4 kind of template framework. So there's self-leadership, there is situational leadership, there is strategic leadership, and then there is spiritual leadership. And so most importantly, self. I think one of the reasons we have a leadership culture is because you can't lead other people if you're not leading yourself well. Nothing goes to the next level until you do. So there's a significant emphasis on that. We could talk about that. I could talk about that for hours. Situational leadership, you can't lead people unless you can read people. You can read rooms, you can read situations, you can read scenarios. Strategic leadership, that's vision casting. If there's one thing that Connect Church does not have a lack of, it would be vision. That's for sure. You were saying earlier on, we actually have this, and praise God, because not everybody's in this scenario, and by the grace of God, we have more leaders than we do opportunity, and that's the frustration. Is we're actually trying to create opportunities, positions, jobs, but we have a deep bench that's incredible, and we want to teach people, and particularly churches, how to get to that place, because I do think we have a playbook for that.
I also think, I think we're at a tension point where we need more opportunities, which means there's a mandate to grow on the church. But I also think something's coming. I think we're going to be more of a sending church over time.
I agree.
That's coming, because we don't have that. I'm just almost speaking to us, not to everybody necessarily out there. Like, we don't just have that blessing and that anointing to just keep to ourselves.
100%. So I do think we're going to see church planners. We're going to see all that stuff. Last one I was going to say is self, situational, strategic, but then spiritual leadership. And honestly, that's what I'm most passionate about right now. The last couple series, I taught in Holy Rebellion series, but then I'm going to bring this term back of a spiritual leader in the next series, How to Tell the Truth, where we want to develop spiritual leaders that are soul winners and truth tellers. So How to Tell the Truth is going to be all about developing evangelists and apologists. But our goal in our house, really this year, having come has been a huge contributor to that, as just receiving the Spirit of God. But spiritual leaders are those who are sensitive to the Spirit, obedient to the Word, humble in His presence, and a servant of people.
It's good.
It's great.
And so when it comes to spiritual leadership, I don't know, it's just my passion point right now. Because Jimmy Clement said this, and I wrote it down. This can definitely be
Jimmy.
Shout out to Jimmy. JK, what do you say?
He gave this one little line at our leader circle, and he basically goes, nowadays you have people that can lead a meeting, but they don't know how to lead in ministry.
Yeah. Wow.
So basically, you have people that can lead a meeting, but they don't know how to minister to a soul, how to pray for somebody, how to, pray for healing or deliverance. And may not be said of us. I don't want that to be our church, where, yes, you will learn leadership skills. You will learn how to cast vision, recruit a person.
Yep.
But if you don't know how to lay hands on the sick or cast out a devil,
we don't even care to.
Exactly. And some people are scared to. And I remember this one time I was asking a leader on my team. I was in a lobby. I had to go. So I grabbed somebody because I don't think we need to be the ones that are always the ones ministering to people. Our goal at our church,
Minister
our win,
through people,
is every member
people.
become a minister. Exactly. Yeah. And then when you have the superstar syndrome where I only want the pastor to lay hands on me, we don't have that anymore. We did at one point.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was exhausting for you.
It was. That. Yeah, I almost died.
But we, exactly. No, seriously. Like,
he almost
there's
passed.
a Superman syndrome to that, but then there's also just a toxic church culture that now everybody goes to the man of God. Instead of recognizing that there's a man or a woman of God to their left or to the right sitting with them. So dangerous, and it's actually pretty toxic.
I think you should run if you're in those environments.
Exactly. You really should, because it's so unhealthy. But I want to develop a body that knows how to minister to others. And so that does mean that the pastor, the leader, has to step away, has to allow opportunities. And Pop's been doing that for years. It is my passion point. I love raising up other people. Lord told me years ago, my greatest sermons will not come out of my mouth. They'll come out of my ministry. And that's going to be for my people. And, you gave me an opportunity to preach at, I think I was 21 years old. I don't even know if I was a Christian at that point. So it was probably a dumb decision on your end. But you know what? That risk panned out.
Hey, son, have you given your life to Christ yet? Or
no, I preached my first message.
It was the best motivational talk I ever heard.
It was an incredible TED Talk.
Do you remember what you talked about?
Yeah, when heaven seems silent, I preached his notes. He gave me his sermon.
Because that's all he knew was silence from heaven.
Yeah, exactly. That's all.
I've been preaching your sermon since
this
you
is
started.
my life story. Up to this point.
It was basically like, what happens when God doesn't answer your prayer?
Up to this point, I've never heard God. I'd like to preach on that today.
And all it was a glorified testimony and me being a wreck. I
haven't seen that. We got to put a clip on that.
It was an old school one, but he started. You gave me an opportunity. Like,
I mean, you look like Carl Lentz, so you did okay.
That's true. That's true.
I remember the first clip I saw of you. I didn't even know. I don't think at that time I knew you, but you were wearing like some glasses. I'm like, is that Carl? Is that Carl at
Bro,
Connect?
I wanted to be him.
Carl at Connect is ringy. It got a ringtone to that. Carl at Connect.
I went through phases where I basically copied the people that I looked up to.
Yeah, I could literally listen. I'm like, okay, that's Robert Madu. Okay, that's whatever. I could pick them out. Wilkerson.
At that point, though,
that's Wilkerson.
You know what?
But everybody was finding their voice then, so I thought it was great.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. You know what I get frustrated about is back then everybody's like, "You're just copying this person." I'm like, I don't know who I am. What are you talking about? Of course I'm gonna copy people.
Hey, listen,
I'm finding my voice, and
Exactly.
you find your voice and other people's voices until eventually you kind of figure out your own. I'm a little bit of him. I'm a little bit of this person. I'm a little bit of this person, and now I know me.
That's like saying if you repeated something I taught, like a principle or literally something I said, like that's copying. Of course, it's copying. That's the point.
As I was developing, it was seen as a negative thing, and I always felt shamed by it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, dude, I just started speaking.
They were
like
passive
6 months ago.
Passive mentors to you.
Exactly,
they're passive mentors,
and I'm grateful for it.
Wait till I copy everything you guys have ever said on Sunday.
Welcome
to Connect Church.
The thing is, it's different. Is you have your own voice. You're very prophetic. You've been very prophetic for years, and you have a history of accuracy behind it.
You started
I'm
pathetic,
excited,
but you've grown into prophetic.
What'd you say?
He started pathetic, but he's grown into prophetic.
Thank you, Pastor.